Hello, welcome to Brooks and Roots with Brainscapers. That's Brooks, I'm Roots. Our tree of the week this week is Hinoki Cypress. There are a lot of different cypresses that work out in your landscape, Southwest Ohio, or in other regions as well. But the Hinoki is an evergreen. I absolutely love the soft curly foliage with it. This guy has gotten where it's getting quite a bit of shade now, which is why it's thinning out a little bit. If the same plant was in full sun, it would be thicker, fuller, probably a little bit taller, but they are a slow growing plant, and this one seems to like the spots, doing actually really well. The nice thing with Hinokis is it gives you a different foliage texture than, as far as evergreen, than like the sweet bay magnolia or the hollies or arborvitae, taxus, globalus spruce. It's just another plant, another evergreen that really can give you a lot of interest and texture in your landscape, just to give you something a little bit different than what everyone else has. These guys, again, like I said, they're slow growing, so don't expect them to get 30 feet by 30 feet or anything like that. You're lucky if you get a few inches a year with them. The other thing that we always get calls in the fall, my Hinoki's dying. No, it's just like a lot of the evergreens. The interior needles will turn brown and drop. It helps acidify the soil. That's just part of the natural life cycle. It'll be brown for a couple of weeks. Sometimes during the spring, you'll get a little bit more of that. But as long as all the outside growth is doing what it's supposed to, that's the plus of it. So anyways, this is Hinoki Cypress, and actually what's interesting, below it are some pansies. We're in, I would consider this late June, and the pansies are still blooming well. Well, the reason is they're in the shade, so they haven't had that hot, intense sun. If these same plants, with pansies and violas, usually they're planted early spring, and they do their thing early spring as long as it's nice and cool. A lot of times they're planted in the fall, and these very well could have been planted last fall. And then they'll go through the winter and start blooming really early. Or you'll see pansies at the garden centers kind of out in September, October for fall planting, because they love the cooler temperatures. Same plant in the shade is still doing well this late in the season, and may continue, as long as this has good irrigation, may continue blooming for another month or two. So absolutely worth putting in. Multitudes of color with pansies and violas, everything you can think of, and kind of an old-fashioned plant, but a really beautiful accent plant.
Now, do they, I've seen them planted every place, in the sun, shade, so forth.
Right.
What do they prefer? Because when I first saw these, when I walked up, I didn't know what they were, because I didn't expect them to still be blooming.
Right.
So what's the best place to plant them?
If you plant them in the winter, or late fall, winter, or extremely early spring, which is when you're going to see them at all the garden centers, they're going to be one of the first things that they get in. Same with annual dianthus, because they love the cool temperatures. The frost won't hurt them, the cool temperatures won't hurt them. So you can plant the same plant out in full sun early, but by the time we get to this time of year, they look terrible. They'll just be fizzled out. They're stretched, they just look awful. But the same plant planted in the shady spot, the color keeps going for a much longer period of time, because we're probably 10 degrees cooler here than we are once we're out in the sun. That's why these still are blooming and doing their thing. So if this same plant was out there right now, it would look terrible.
Okay.
Most likely. So yeah, that's why. So again, thank you for joining Brainscapers with Brooks and Roots. Please give us your thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and we'll be back next week for another plant, another one of our favorites. And until then, have a great day.